Konnichiwa, hello and welcome. This is Roy and Godzilla 90, and today I will be reviewing the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Singular Point Godzilla Ultima figure. And I got some things to say about it, so let's get things started. And now here we have the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Singular Point Godzilla Ultima figure right here before us in all of his Godzilla Singular Point, Godzilla Ultima glory. As you can see, this is a well-sculpted, well-detailed figure, sculpted by the famous S.H.MonsterArts sculptor himself, Yuji Sakai, which we all know. Technically, as you can see, for as the color scheme for this figure, you can see he's more of a darker charcoal gray color. The typical color you usually see Godzilla. We can also see that he has these light gray, like little light gray bony spikes coming out of his body, specifically in his neck and in the middle of his chest and on the top of his head, going into these lighter grayish white dorsal spines here. And they are really sharp on this figure, so definitely be careful. And if we do take a closer look at the dorsal spines, we can see that we kind of almost like have these like blood red vein patterns coming out of his dorsal spine, so that is really cool. I wonder if that is actual veins in his dorsal spines, which that would actually be a pretty cool touch and pretty cool detail. And if you haven't watched the Godzilla Singular Point anime series, it is on Netflix, so you can definitely go check it out. I will be going over this figure in detail and articulation, starting with the upper body portion of the figure, working my way down to the lower body portion of the figure, and getting more in depth with accessories. So, with that said, let's get things started. And now, starting things off with the upper body portion of the figure, as you can see when I bring him closer, this Godzilla in particular has sort of two, like, teeth tusk, like fang tusk coming out of the side of his mouth right there. So we have that kind of almost similar to Space Godzilla, but Space Godzilla has tusks coming out of the side of the cheeks, so it does make them look kind of similar. But anyway, getting a closer look at those eyes, you can see the eyes are mostly black with yellow pupils, so the same is true with the other eye as well, looking really nice. The mouth is also articulated, so the upper jaw and lower jaw is on a hinge joint, very similar to that of Shin Godzilla. So yeah, we can get a good look at the inside of the mouth. And now this one, unlike the Heisei Godzilla, well, kind of like the Heisei Godzilla, not just a double row of teeth. We see like a multiple different rows of teeth in the lower portion of the jaw and in the upper portion of the jaw as well. So there is that, and we can see all the finer details on the inside of his mouth when we bring him closer. So that is pretty cool. And like I said, we also have these like light gray bony spikes on his neck. Head articulation, the head can look up about that much, we can look down about that much, we can look right about that much, and left about that much, and I believe not necessarily. Well, yes, you can rotate the head independently from the neck, although not recommended. We do have a good ball joints in the shoulders, so we can move the shoulders forward about this way, although they are hindered by the sculpt of the upper shoulders right here, so we can only like move the shoulders so much. They are sort of on a butterfly joint, so we can move them a little bit. Although we do have a bicep swivel, so we can swivel those biceps all the way around a full 360, but I'm not going to do that. Well, maybe I can. So, yeah, we can do it. So, I just didn't want to do it at first because I was afraid it might snap because it is a little risky, but it is doable. We also have a double joint hinge at the elbow as well, so you can bend those elbows forward and back. Same is true with the other arm, so you can bend those elbows forward and back. We do have a ball joint at the wrist, so we can swivel those wrists all the way around a full 360. Same is true with the other hand, and we can move them back and forth for that claw swiping action as well. So there's that, and we also have an ab crunch, so we can bend the torso down about that much and back up about that much, and we can rock side to side and lean side to side like so. So that pretty much concludes it for articulation and detail for the upper body portion of the figure. Now working our way down to the lower body portion of the figure, so let's get to it. And now that we are at the lower body portion of the figure, and yes, this figure is pretty big, especially due to the very large tail. But anyway, we can see the legs are well sculpted. This is a three-toed Godzilla, very similar to that of how most of the suit designs appeared in the Showa era. Although we do have this sharp claw in the back of the calves there. So we kind of had like this sharp claw sticking out of the back of the calf and his upper ankle. Same is true with the other foot as well. So there's that. The hips are on ball joints, so we can bring them out about that much. We can do these splits really good with this one. We can kick forward about that much and then back down. Same is true with the other leg. So we can kick up about that much, about that far. So we can go we can bring those legs all the way up, like almost to his back, sort of. So we can do that, although not recommended. We put those legs back down because, yeah, you're not careful, they can get stuck. And these figures are expensive, so you don't want to accidentally damage anything. But anyway, we do have a double hinge joint in the knees, so we can bend them back about that much and then forward about that much. Same is true with the other side, so we can bend the knees and then forward again. So back and forth with the knees, because we got a double joint hinge in there. And also we do have some good toe articulation as well. So we do have a ball joint right there in the toes. Although a little different than most S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla figures, but it is there. We do have, as you can see, although you can't really rotate it a full 360 because it's hindered by the sculpt. And yeah, I really wouldn't try. Oh yeah, that one's kind of tight, so I really wouldn't try it with that. And yeah, we do have a massive tail, but I will have to demonstrate articulation in the next cut because yeah, it's just too big to get a close-up on, especially on the lower body portion of the figure. So I'll get to that in the next cut when I get to it. It's the accessories, so let's get to it. And now getting on to accessories and tail articulation, starting with tail articulation. Now, we do have to be careful because the tail likes to pop off a lot, so if it does pop off, you know what, I'm just going to show you tail articulation with the tail detached from the body, because I'm not going to put up with it and fight with this thing to stay on when I'm filming this on camera. But anyway, the tail, we can put it flat down if we want to, so we can do that. So we can put the tail all the way flat down like so. We can of course bring it back up, and we can curl it back up as well. So I mostly leave it displayed like that, basically to save room. We can also swing the tail. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to continue doing this off camera. I mean, with the tail detached, just to show you articulation with the tail. So we can put the tail, we can curve the tail about that much. We can curve the tail about that much. So we can really curve this tail all the way around. We can put it in an S curve. Although, like I said, this tail is really, really heavy and it likes to pop off a lot, but I'm going to attempt to put it back on. So hopefully, I can get this to go back on. And I got it on camera. So can I put it in a, and I'm holding it just to make sure it stays on, because I know it's probably going to pop off. Yes, we can. Look at that. Like, look, like literally, like he can bite his own tail. Look at that. This is so long. Like, he can literally eat his own tail for breakfast. Like, look at that. This tail is massive. Oh, like I said, it likes to pop off a lot. So, hopefully I could put it back on and it'll stay on this time for the remainder of this review. But anyway, accessories. The accessories this figure comes with. He comes with 2 little bitty minifigs of Jet Jaguar. So we have Jet Jaguar, like in its like regular mode, where it's not battle ready or upgraded, and then we have Jet Jaguar, and it's battle ready upgraded mode with the Anguirus Sphere. Now, I mean, you can paint these up if you really want to, but I mean, they're so tiny, like I really wouldn't attempt to. And also, the stands are removable at the bottom of the feet, although do be careful because, yeah, they are tiny. These little minifigures like to fall over a lot, and the stands they require can be easily lost, so do be careful with that. And also, we also have a interchangeable swappable head for when he's firing off his heat ray, but this one does not come with a heat ray breath effect part. So technically, how you apply this is you just pop the head off like so, and you just put the atomic blast head on. Technically, if I could line it up properly. Does this? I think I'm supposed to take that piece off as well. Okay, yeah. Okay, I am struggling with this. Or am I supposed to put this on? So give me a second. There we go. No, I got it. So yeah, you do leave that sleeve piece on. So yeah, that is the atomic blast head. So if you want to use that head, or you can just leave the based head on and just like open it like about like that wide. It won't exactly be show accurate, but I mean, to me, like it's better than finagling with swappable heads. So yeah, you're basically kind of getting into Super 7 territory. So if you're going to do that, so to me, it'd be up to me. I would just leave the based head on, especially if that has articulation. Even if I'm using like a heat beam, even though it doesn't open up as wide as this one. Just, just to avoid, having the inconvenience of dealing with a pain in the butt, technically. So yeah, because it is sometimes a pain in the butt to get to swap out the head. So I'd much rather just leave the base head on, especially if I'm like I said, using the heat beam and just open it like that. Even though it's not as wide or as accurate, it's still doable. Because I mean, you don't necessarily have to have the heat ray that's exactly accurate to the singular point heat ray, the one with the rings around it. Technically, you can just use a normal, typical heat ray breath effect port from any S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla figure, especially if you have a Tamashii Nation stand. So, I mean, it shouldn't make that much of a difference unless you want it to be like spot on show accurate. But I mean, it's an action figure, so I mean, you want to do your own thing. I mean, you can make compromises here and there, so that's not necessarily really going to hurt anybody. So, I mean, unless like you're a quote-unquote some type of elitist purist that has to have everything like exact. But, I mean, that's just not me, I just like to keep it as cool, calm, and collective and as simple as possible. As much as I can. So technically, if you want to use a heat ray breath effect part, that's what I recommend doing, is just using the base head, because you'll save yourself a lot of trouble by doing that and not moving the tail either, apparently, because as you see, the tail likes to pop off like nobody's business. Even if you don't even touch it, if you just look at it too hard, it'll pop off. So you already know this figure is getting points taken off. But anyway, that pretty much concludes it for my review for this figure. So with that said, I will now be getting into my final verdict. And now for my final verdict on the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Singular Point Godzilla Ultima figure here. If I have to give this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability, I have to give it a drumroll, please. A very fair but square, well-deserved 3.4 stars. Why? Technically, detail-wise with this figure, detail is really good. It is very show accurate. I really like it a lot. I think, S.H.MonsterArts, Premium Bandai, and Tamashii Nations, and Yuji Sakai put a lot of work into this figure, and they've really done a good job when it comes to detailing and capturing the essence of the Godzilla look of Godzilla Ultima from Godzilla Singular Point, the anime series. And I also have to say, articulation with this figure is good. However, where it falls apart, especially in the tail, like literally falls apart. Like I said, articulation is good, but it's very heavy in the tail, and it likes to pop out a lot, as you can see. So that is already points getting taken off for playability. So that really hurts the playability if articulation doesn't really hold up that well when you have pieces popping off. So I mean, that just means it just technically has a weak joint tolerance, but I mean, I'd rather have joints popping off than snapping. But for the prices we're paying, like, that still shouldn't be a thing. Now, as far as where I got this figure, I don't know if it was a GameStop exclusive or whatever, but this is the only one I remember ordering from GameStop. Like, I didn't find anywhere else. So maybe this one was a GameStop exclusive, but I'm still not sure. Unfortunately, I don't believe this one is still available from GameStop, but I mean, you could still check. But last time I checked, it wasn't, so it's probably not, because this was like a few years ago I bought this one. But I think this is a good figure overall. But like I said, due to the like I said, poor joint tolerance in the tail, I can't recommend this figure for everybody, unless like you are a long-time hardcore Godzilla fan that wants highly detailed, highly articulated figures to, do stop motion and pose and maybe battle with other figures from time to time, but not manhandle and be careful with. Um, Technically, yeah. I can't exactly remember how much I paid for this one, but I think it was like 120, like around like 120, 140 ish, somewhere around there. Can't exactly remember the price. Might have been 150. I'm not sure, but all I know is I got this one from GameStop, and I have not seen this one for sale on any other site. I haven't seen it for sale on Big Bad. Haven't seen it for sale on from Toys in a Box, Premium Bandai, Entertainment Earth. I just, I guess it was the GameStop exclusive. Maybe I might be right. I don't know, but anyway, that pretty much concludes it for this review. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, stay safe, take care, God bless, and peace out.